Learning to Get Along, Module 1, Understanding Social and Emotional Learning, or SEL. What is it and why should we do it? Module 1, Slide 2. Module 1, like every module in this course, begins with a quotation from a famous person. The quote is intended to inspire, but also to shed some light on the ideas and information contained in the module. As you read these words from Timothy Shriver, think about what it says about learning for all people, and especially for your students. The myth was that knowledge could be bolted onto a brain, like any other mechanical part. The truth is that all knowledge is constructive. The truth is all knowledge is relational. The truth is that emotion drives attention, and attention drives learning. Module 1, Slide 3. Module 1 Objectives. Upon completion of this module, you'll be able to give a good working definition of social and emotional learning, or SEL, explain how executive functioning of the brain relates to SEL, describe 3 core skill areas in which SEL programs and activities are grounded, explain how integrating SEL into your daily teaching practice can benefit students and improve the learning environment at your school. Module 1, Slide 4. Jeremy's story. Jeremy's story, like all of the stories in this course, is fictional, but it is based on a real incident that took place at a school in New York City. As you listen, think about what happened and why. What strategy the guidance counselor used to defuse the situation, and why the school principal believes that social and emotional learning is important.
A boy named Jeremy, age 8, is having a very bad day. At lunchtime, he suddenly jumps up, starts throwing his food at the other kids, and cursing out everyone in sight. At most schools, he would be sent immediately to the principal's office to be punished. He might even be expelled or suspended. But at this school, a teacher calls the guidance counselor, Mr. Ronaldo, to come to the lunchroom. He takes Jeremy's hand. "It's okay. Calm down, Jeremy. Come with me." Several months later, Jeremy still has bad days, but he doesn't fly out of control like he did before. With help from Mr. Ronaldo, he has learned how to control his emotions. Now, he says, "I know when I'm about to get upset. I tell my teacher, and she lets me take a walk to calm down. That's my coping skill." Such out-of-control moments are not unusual at this school, which is located in one of New York City's poorest neighborhoods and has about 500 students. Many of the students are very poor, and nearly half of them are homeless. Most have already experienced more than their share of emotional trauma. The school gives teachers, staff, and parents the support they need to help build children's social and emotional skills. For us, it is important, says the principal, to stabilize a child emotionally before we can work on academics. Since starting a new social and emotional learning program for teachers and staff a year ago, absenteeism at the school has been reduced by almost 7%, and performance on the state reading exam has improved to match the citywide average. Life and school are still not easy for Jeremy, but he is happier and his chances of succeeding are a lot better than they were.
Module 1, Slide 5. What is social and emotional learning? In the broad sense, SEL can be defined as a process through which people, that includes infants, children, young people, and adults, gain the skills they need to manage emotions, make responsible decisions, and build meaningful relationships with others. Many types of research and interventions are now grouped under the SEL banner. Many, in fact, existed long before the term came into wide use. For example, subfields of psychology and human development such as prosocial skills, aggressive behavior problems, and emotional regulation fall under the SEL umbrella, together with interventions aimed at, for example, preventing bullying, building character, moral education, resolving conflicts, and developing interpersonal skills. It is also important to acknowledge what SEL is not. It is not a passing fad, not limited to one level of human development, and not a separate subject to be added on to the school curriculum. Module 1, Slide 6. What are the core SEL skill areas? There are many different perspectives on how to understand, categorize, and teach social and emotional learning. And of course, different traditions have different ideas about the values, attitudes, and behaviors that should be prioritized. But educators around the world agree broadly that emotional awareness and social awareness are interlinked, and both are important for children to start learning at a very young age. Put simply, emotional awareness, illustrated as a single orange dot on the right side of the diagram, is defined as the ability to perceive oneself in relation to others and to the world, while social awareness enables an individual, that single dot, to build and sustain meaningful relationships with others. Both of these skill areas are related to empathy, which is the human capacity to understand and feel the emotions of another. In other words, to walk in another person's shoes. Module 1, Slide 7. What grows in time? The core skill areas of emotional and social awareness are closely interconnected, to the extent that the distinction between them is often blurred. But making distinctions and drawing lines is not so important as understanding that as teachers, a big part of our role is to nurture human development. To do this, it's helpful to think of the core skill areas as the soil in which such lifelong character traits as flexibility, resilience, and openness to new ideas can grow over time. These sets of skills will empower students to make good choices, experience personal well-being, and help to make our world a better place. Module 1, Slide 8. Looking to the future, integration of SEL into daily teaching and learning at all levels aims toward making our world safer and more sustainable. But that's not all. Benefits to learners are real, measurable, and immediate. For example, documented benefits in schools where SEL has been implemented include personal well-being. Students report feeling better about themselves, their school, and their relationships. Reduction of disruptive behaviors. Improvement in academic performance by helping students focus, set goals, and solve problems. For example, at the New York City school where Jeremy's story was based, scores on a state reading exam rose after 1 year of an integrated SEL program to match citywide averages. Overall, schools with ongoing SEL programs report significant improvement in standardized reading and math assessments. Other schools have reported significant reductions in aggressive behaviors, bullying, depressive symptoms, and hyperactivity, as well as a significant reduction in drug and alcohol use. Module 1, Slide 9. Why is it important? This view of Earth, the planet we call home, from outer space, brings us back to the proposition that academic knowledge and technical skills are simply not enough to equip students of today to meet the challenges of tomorrow. We may not know exactly what those challenges will be in 50, 20, or even 10 years from now, and much will depend on what is being done to mitigate the impact of climate change and other major threats to a sustainable future. But we can be certain that these will include new challenges to life and health, the challenge of adapting to new technologies in the workplace, and unprecedented social, economic, and environmental challenges. Until very recently, Western school systems have focused primarily on academic knowledge and skills, partly because they are easy to measure. Educators generally felt that teaching soft skills had a lesser role in helping children succeed at higher levels of learning and in their career pursuits. However, an impressive body of new research on learning processes and outcomes tells us that cognitive learning in itself fails to prepare students for the rapidly evolving challenges of life and work in our times. For example, students need to learn how to cope with change, to respect different points of view, and to work in diverse groups to solve problems. Module 1, Slide 10. Educating the Whole Child. To help students meet the challenges of life and work in the 21st century, educators around the world are now shifting toward more comprehensive approaches to educating the whole child, not just the part that learns how to decode words and perform calculations, but also the parts that have emotions, care about others, and act responsibly. This means paying equal attention to their cognitive, emotional, and social and physical development. It means that schools must try harder to ensure that learners are healthy, safe, engaged, supported, and challenged. Module 1, Slide 11. What is executive functioning of the brain, and what role does it play in social and emotional learning? Executive functioning is a set of cognitive processes located in the frontal lobe of the brain. In order to activate learning in the core SEL skill areas, this set of cognitive processes acts as a kind of switchboard that receives and assesses incoming signals, responds to high-priority messages, sends other messages to relevant parts of the neural network for further processing and response. In sum, executive functioning enables us to pay attention, remember, plan, prioritize, think flexibly, and control our emotions. Module 1, Slide 12. So we know that executive functioning of the brain can help activate SEL learning, but scientists also believe that there is a powerful reverse effect. In other words, learning in core skill areas like emotional and social awareness builds the capacity of executive functioning processes and connected areas of the brain, and at the same time, engagement in this kind of learning reinforces and expands our ability to experience empathy. Module 1, Slide 13. Nature or nurture? This is, of course, a very big question that has been debated by philosophers, scientists, religious leaders, and everyone else for thousands of years. Are we humans hardwired to protect and cooperate with others? Are personality traits and behaviors such as self-control, kindness, and caring for others part of our fundamental human nature, Or must we be taught to acquire them? Considering the emergent field of epigenetics, the answer is, it's both, but with a twist. Briefly stated, epigenetics is the study of biological mechanisms that switch genes on and off. The different combinations of genes that are turned on or off are what makes each of us unique. In other words, this explains why some of us may naturally appear to be more empathetic or socially aware than others, while in fact everything around us, what we eat, where we live, how we exercise, can cause changes in the way our genes are switched on or off. There is solid evidence that both nature and nurture play a role in how our individual characteristics, including social and emotional skills, are formed. Either way, educators and psychologists agree that all children have the potential to develop social and emotional competencies that drive their attitudes and behaviors, and that these are essential to their individual and collective happiness. Module 1, Slide 14. What is the role of culture? The nature versus nurture debate, together with reflections from the field of epigenetics, brings the role of culture, physical environment, and history into the spotlight. That's because different cultures prioritize certain values, attitudes, and behaviors over others. For example, independent thinking and individual assertiveness may be highly valued in some societies, while conformity and obedience are considered more important in others. As globalization has brought cultures of the world closer and closer into contact with one another, some of these priorities may be said to be in a constant state of flux, and are sometimes a cause of friction, for example, between young adults and their elders. It remains the case, however, that traditional religious and cultural practices have a strong role in cultivating core SEL skill sets, and that our physical environment, both natural and constructed, influences individual and group behaviors. In defining SEL skills and shaping educational programs, it is important to respect cultural diversity as well as to support global initiatives for sustainable peace and economic development. Module 1, Slide 15. Examples of SEL strategies from around the world. As you read through these examples, think of strategies that you and/or your colleagues have used to achieve the same or similar objectives. For example, how do you get students to focus their attention? How do you establish calm so that your students are ready to learn? Which strategies have been especially effective with which age groups? If you're working with colleagues, take a moment to share or demonstrate a particular strategy that you've used with a particular age group. Module 1, Slide 16. The takeaway. The takeaway is a summary of key points for you to pack up and take back to your school and your classroom. If possible, it's useful to print this page to keep for review at the end of the course and to use it as a resource in developing your own SEL toolkit. The 5 key points to take away from Module 1 are: 1. Social and emotional learning is a process for strengthening core skill areas and specific skill sets over time. 2. The core SEL skill areas are emotional awareness and social awareness. Both of these are directly related to empathy. 3. Specific SEL skills and characteristics are developed over time through sequenced activities and supportive learning environments. 4. Integrating SEL into classroom interactions helps to develop the brain's executive functioning. 5. Explicit SEL instruction is positively correlated to higher levels of academic performance. Module 1, Slides 17, 18, and 19. These slides contain 6 items for you to check your understanding of the ideas and information presented in the module. Choose the best response to each question or incomplete sentence. To check your answers, please see slide 22 at the end of the video. Module 1, Slide 20. Think about it. Are all or mostly all of the learners at your school really happy to be there? Do they feel supported and included? Are they performing as well as they can academically? Based on your experience, what do you feel are the main risks to children's well-being at your school? What are your recommendations for introducing SEL strategies to reduce these risks? Write your ideas down in your journal or on a piece of paper to share with your colleagues. Over the course of the next 5 modules, you'll be using these notes to build your personal SEL toolkit. Module 1, Slide 21. What's next? Congratulations! You have reached the end of Module 1. Now that you have an idea of what social and emotional learning is and why it's important, you probably have a lot of questions. The next module addresses the practical question of how, when, and where SEL can be implemented. The answer begins in Module 2 with the story of Huda, a 9-year-old Syrian refugee. It continues with the discussion of what constitutes a safe and welcoming learning environment, and concludes with a consideration of how SEL can help enhance learning for students with special needs. Looking forward to seeing you in Module 2. Answers to self-checkout questions 1 through 6. Number 1. Which of the following best describes SEL? Answer: a process. Number 2. In addition to improving students' well-being, there is mounting evidence that SEL enhances students' academic performance. Number 3. The ability to perceive oneself in relation to others and to the world is known as emotional awareness. Number 4. The brain's executive functioning capacity enables us to all of the above: focus attention, take in new information, and control impulses. Number 5. Which of the following best describes the whole child approach to education? Learning focuses equally on children's cognitive, emotional, social, and physical development. Number 6. Scientists and educators tend to agree that all children have the capacity to develop social and emotional competencies.